Hi, welcome to our first big event for Makers Month at South Orange Public Library. We have an entire month full of events, and we're starting off with some of the best. This is Making History, or All History is Local, and we're starting with two high school students who won an essay contest done by the South Orange Historic Preservation Society. So they both did research on South Orange history, and they are going to present their essays. So we're going to start off with Jared Loadholt, I'm sorry, and you can tell the title of yours, and I know both are about former South Orange residents, past South Orange residents who made a big impact on the village we know today. So come on up, Jared. Thank you for coming.
Alright, so the title of my essay was Duffield Drive. There we go. On September 26, 1932, one of the most fascinating men in the history of New Jersey covered Time magazine for his great successes across all stretches of life. Today, in the Newstead area of South Orange, there is a small street named after this man, yet many of the state's residents have still probably heard a little about him. His accomplishments during his 68 years of life were out of this world and nearly unbelievable. Edward Dickinson Duffield changed education within the state of New Jersey, and after his death in 1939, he was regarded by many as South Orange's most beloved citizen. Born on March 3, 1871, in Princeton, New Jersey, Duffield was destined for success from the beginning. He was a descendant of the first president of Princeton University, and his father was a reverend that taught at the College of New Jersey and Princeton for 56 years. Duffield went on to graduate from the College of New Jersey in 1892, and then obtained his law degree from New York Law School in 1894. From this point on, his life became a whirlwind of success. A year after his graduation from law school, Duffield became a state assembly member, and by 1904, he was floor leader for the Republicans. At the same time, from 1901 to 1904, he was president of the South Orange Maplewood School District. Building upon his success, he became the New Jersey Assistant Attorney General from 1905 to 1906. This did not mark the end of Duffield's tenure in South Orange, however, as he came back and became village president in 1917. His influence in New Jersey grew more and more, but he continued to stick to his beliefs. In the Princeton Alumni Weekly, he referred to himself as the trustee who represented the great intellectual middle class. Is there any way better to describe South Orange Maplewood community than as the great intellectual middle class? Duffield did not directly state that he represented South Orange Maplewood, but this quote was a perfect implication of what community he believed himself to be a part of. His body of work and his career in education exemplifies what South Orange Maplewood stands for even today. He was appointed chairman of a committee formed to improve the relationship between the state of New Jersey and Rutgers University, which produced the State Board of Regents that regulated higher education in New Jersey. Another committee in which Duffield served upon was as a trustee at Princeton University from 1920 to 1938. This group of trustees helped build up the modern Princeton that we see today. During his time there, he was asked to fill the role of acting president in the university from 1932 to 33. As chairman of the Committee on Undergraduate Life, Duffield was committed to keeping Princeton open and accessible to young men of all economic and social classes. He believed that the university would fail if individuals who were poor economically, yet rich intellectually, could not enroll or participate in Princeton, strictly due to a lack of material resources. This embodies the diversity that is so prevalent in South Orange and Maplewood today, and that is unbelievable the way Duffield perceived education back in the early 20th century in terms of including everyone. Duffield was not only a great asset to education in New Jersey, but he was also business savvy, participating in large companies at high levels. He rose in the ranks of the Prudential Insurance Company, starting out as the general solicitor, then vice president in 1916, and finally president of the company in 1922. He also worked for other insurance companies and even became president of AT&T at one point. During his time at the Prudential Insurance Company, Duffield married his second wife, Barbara Freeman, in 1920. Duffield already had 2 children, a daughter and a son by his first wife, and they lived on Scotland Road in South Orange. Duffield clearly had ambition in both business and education in the state of New Jersey, but at the same time, he was able to maintain a healthy marriage and raise a wonderful family. Duffield embodied what South Orange Maplewood stands for even today. In fact, he is one of the reasons that our community has turned out the way it has. His views on education are in line with our school district's beliefs and agenda now. He set the precedent for equal opportunity for all social classes when it comes to education. This paved the way for the amazingly diversified community that we have now. Diversity is one of the main attractions of South Orange Maplewood, both in our schools and our residential areas, and it would not be the same if it weren't for Edward Duffield. Duffield Drive today is one of the most beautiful areas in all of South Orange, as it is located in the wealthy Newstead area. None of the original structures, except for a few houses, still remain, but the street is full of luscious trees and beautiful homes with fresh lawns. Most of the residents will most likely have never even heard of Edward Duffield, the man their street is named after. Most residents in all of South Orange have probably never heard of him, but that is okay because we live in his legacy every day. Even though many of us do not know it, we are a product of Duffield's dedication to the education system in New Jersey and overall lifestyle of its citizens. Edward Dickinson Duffield is the most influential, hardworking, and successful person in New Jersey's history that none of us have heard of. At least the village of South Orange has been able to recognize him with a street in one of his greatest areas.
Thank you, Jared. Actually, that was really interesting. And I've heard it once before, and it was even more interesting the second time because I just absorbed even more details. You did a great job with research. I appreciate that. And next we have Becky Baker.
Okay, so this is called Kennett Place. When the Kennett family donated land at the corner of Scotland Road and Taylor Place to the village of South Orange, their 1895 gift established a permanent place for the South Orange Library. First the village library and now the home of EIES, the Kennett building is a lasting legacy of generosity. However, the building is not the only reminder of the family. The Kennett family is remembered in South Orange by Kennett Place, which intersects with Scotland Road. Later generations of the Kennett family included members of the Underhill and Spear families, also remembered by local street names. Finally, founding and supporting the South Orange Library relied on the philanthropy of many memorable citizens whose names appear on village maps. Eugene V. and Sophia Rutan Kennett established their family home on Scotland Avenue in South Orange, close to the family business, a hat factory in Orange. The Kennett parents and their 4 sons became involved in South Orange well before they donated land. Eugene V. Kennett served as village president. The New York Times reports that Mrs. Kennett was involved in fundraising efforts for Church of the Holy Communion and subscription dances to support local music. And, according to social notes in the New York Times, Mrs. Kennett supported the library. The library in South Orange was a membership library when it was organized in 1864. The one-room library was organized by resident William Thebe. Over the next several years, the library outgrew its space and moved to a site on South Orange Avenue. Before the late 1800s, many libraries were open only to dues-paying members. The free public library movement, which was spreading across the nation, would soon arrive in South Orange. In 1886, Andrew Carnegie gave the first donation of what would total $40 million, all to establish libraries. Carnegie paid for community library buildings, asking that each town raise funds for books and budget for staff. Carnegie donated $50,000 to nearby East Orange. Kennett's gift to South Orange followed this model. According to the account posted on the village website, Kennett offered the land where the Kennett building now stands on the condition that other residents raise $7,500 for the building. A New York Times report of the gift notes that Henry A. Page, namesake of Page Terrace, donated $1,000 at the same time. The library fund had other money put aside for building costs. A large article in the New York Times reports that an 1888 benefit held at Orange Lawn Tennis Club was a brilliant success. The affair was staffed by the Mrs. Page, Miss Redmond, Mrs. Milligan, and Mrs. Stanford. Those family names are familiar too from local streets. Mrs. James Pulsford hosted an 1894 production of Tom Cobb as a library benefit. At the same time her husband donated land, Mrs. Kinnett raised money for the library effort. She hosted a musical for the library's benefit in January. By November of that year, the New York Times reported the ground was broken for the new building. South Orange's new library opened its doors. It's impossible to know for certain why the Kinnett family chose to put their considerable resources into a public library for their hometown. The Kinnett family was dedicated to education, and in the case of the younger Eugene Kinnett, to the written word. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. And Abby did all her research here at the South Orange Public Library, right?
Yeah.
Most of it. Interestingly, the Friends of South Orange Public Library just a couple years ago made another donation of $7,500 to the library with the plan of restoring the Kinnett building and incorporating that space along with the library space that we're using now. So it's very cool how history just keeps building on itself. There were lots of names in yours that were streets in South Orange, and it really is kind of fun to be able to walk around a place and get a sense of why the names exist and what happened in years before.